which I'm very happy to be here. And I think that we're talking about a very important assessment, a very important institute. The chairman of the board, Mr. Frank Louis, the head of INSS, General in Reserves, Yadlin, I cannot but mention the most remembered Minister of Education in Israel, Aharon Yadlin, the father of Amos. The director, Brigadier General Udi Deckel, researchers who I was privileged to read their assessment and to host them in Jerusalem, ladies and gentlemen. If it would be possible, I would have selected two words in order to describe the strategic situation of the State of Israel in the near future: escalation and complexity. Going up in the escalation on the one hand, but complexity on the other, enhanced complexity. These are the main characteristics of the security and political arena in the past year and in the foreseen future. The involvement of Iran is the first example of that. In the first half of the past year, it seemed as if the Iranian failures in the northern front and the understandings that were obtained with Russia will bring the containment of the toxic involvement of Iran in the region. In the second half of the year, in the last few months especially, we see a change of trend. Some people think that the regional Iranian plans were stopped or were adapted because of the activities of Israel. Some people see escalation in the levels of friction. But in any case, Iran, so I believe, is going to exacerbate its activities against the Israeli policy in the north, both in Syria and in Lebanon. The Iranian challenge is not just in the northern arena, but also has to do with the global diplomacy in the world. A continuation of the Iranian experiments in ballistic missiles have become a controversy in the relations of Iran with the states of the European Union, even those who support the dialogue with them. In my conversations with the President of France, Emmanuel Macron, just last week, we spoke together with the issue of Lebanon, also this issue, because I feel that the Europeans are now getting closer to the perception of Israel regarding the danger that we see from the regime in Iran. But the picture in the European arena is very complex. And it moves between the international wish to maintain the achievements of the deal, the nuclear deal, and the understanding that you have to put red lines to Iran, and if they cross them, they're going to pay a heavy price. And in order to explain, I had with me in France the commander of the Air Force, and Amos Yadlin was here with me, and we're trying to explain in practice, while seeing the real facts in the field, we're trying to explain all these issues and the special needs that we have. And the main question is, how do we do it? How can we explain and put those red lines in front of the Iranians? The second example to the escalation and complexity has to do with the Palestinian arena in general, and especially to the place of Hamas in it. If in the past the escalation in the Gaza Strip was reflected by launching of rockets and military launches, in the last years they added two new weapons: mass demonstrations that some people are armed and some are not, and launching explosive kites towards the settlements around Gaza. The demonstration on the fence in the Gaza Strip have quietened down for a certain time, thanks to the efforts of the security forces and also the efforts of our Egyptian partners, but none of us know what's going to happen in the future. The Gaza Strip is still bubbling, is still moving. The humanitarian situation there is fueled by politics of hate and incitements, both inside Palestine and also against Israel. And we have the internal Palestinian conflict between the Fatah and the Hamas, and the decision of Abu Mazen to exert heavy sanctions on Gaza. All these together push us to make decisions which is the least of all evils. The Israeli security system thinks that just a military solution is not going to bring about the improvement in the situation in Gaza. That combination between military force, the partial containment policy, and the Israeli-Egyptian diplomacy is what's successful. But the public in Israel apparently finds it difficult to accept this containment, especially where it means difficult life in the home front. It's obvious that we would want the PA to go back to the Gaza Strip and be responsible, but since we know what the situation is, we make decisions according to the Israeli interests, even if sometimes they're against the future regional vision, which we would have liked to see. And we would like to clarify, in my opinion, not only the complexity vis-à-vis Hamas and Gaza is not going to disappear. On the contrary, the spirit of Hamas and its people are now penetrating also to Judea and Samaria. If Hamas and its track were perceived in the past by the Palestinian leadership as a problem, today quite large segments of the Palestinian people and some of its leadership see in the way of Hamas perhaps the solution. This new trend already started to create real complexity for us in Israel. The third example of escalation and complexity has to do with the internal political arena in Israel. From an election campaign to election campaign, all the electronic devices are now for disseminating messages and motivating the voters. The reforms in the campaigns and the transparency duty that were offered at the time by the committee headed by Justice Beinish. It issued a report that is worried about the complexity of the election campaign in a democratic state. The cyber headquarters already expressed its fears from foreign intervention in the campaign through the social media and also actually terror attacks in the election campaign. Already we are exposed to all sorts of messages and contra-messages and manipulations, and all the idea is to confuse the voters and to deviate their vote. Some of the parties are refusing to back all these campaigns and publications. The Israeli political arena is much more complicated than ever. And at the moment, it's also radicalized because of the need to create a difference between the parties and to evoke the voters to do something while talking about we and them them and we, and creating delegitimization of groups and political figures from the right and from the left. Political rivalry are now becoming real enemies. The most serious of all is the government and also the justice systems have become, not willingly and against their will, to part of the issue of the elections. I don't have to explain here how dangerous this trend is to the Israeli society and even to the security of the state. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, the diplomatic and security assets that Israel managed to create for 70 years helped us until today to cope with many challenges. Israel is strong and sound at the moment. Those who say from right and left that vis-a-vis the complexity or the escalation, Israel is helpless, passive, they're mistaken and they're mistaking. We are not passive. We react with sensitivity, wisdom, power to all threats from outside and challenges from within. But apparently, reacting at the moment is not enough. It's not enough. We must take initiative. The organizers of this conference are correct when they wrote in their annual assessment of the INSS, we need a new kind of military and political thinking, updated and initiative. Thank God I didn't quote things that I said, but things that are written in your report. I don't know why, but I don't like to quote myself because I heard some people doing it very nicely. If we want not just to cope with the escalation and the complexity, but also to strive towards shaping the regional and internal arena, we have to consolidate a strategy and to take action. The toxic conduct of the Iranians is fed by a vacuum of Assad in Syria, a structural weakness of the Lebanese government, and from the withdrawal of democratic forces from involvement in the Middle East. We must do the best we can to bring back our allies to this region, maybe through a regional political initiative. The status quo in the Palestinian arena does not serve Israel. We have to make an effort to change it, especially with steps that create trust for our benefit and to the benefit of the Palestinians. Let's talk first of all about things that we can do. Later, we're going to deal with the big questions that put us for more than 50 years in a situation that we can't even sit and talk. The political arena in Israel can and should take responsibility for what is allowed and what is forbidden. We talk about cross-partisan agreements. It's not going to bring about the loss of voters, but to enhancement of the public trust in the politics and to fortify our forces as a society and as a community. From the beginning of Zionism and until today, we have been initiators. When we initiated, we used to win, yes. And again, this is the time to initiate, and this is the time to win, because we must do that. Bless you all, and thank you for everything that you do.